on to this now. A lack of school infrastructure is one of the long-lasting challenges faced by some of the pupils in this country. Amnesty International's research in Gauteng and the Eastern Cape provinces, it found numerous examples of schools with poor infrastructure and lacking basic facilities. There's also been a noticeable increase in school bullying incidents. Can government achieve lasting solutions to some of these issues facing the basic education sector? Well, to answer that question, the Basic Education Portfolio Committee Chairperson in Parliament, Bongiwe Mbinqo-Gigaba, speaks to us now virtually. Ms. Gigaba, thank you very much for your time. Let's start with school infrastructure and in particular the provinces that have been listed in that intro, Eastern Cape and Gauteng, when it comes to infrastructure. How bad is the situation?
Morning to you, Xoli, and the listeners at home. Look, the issue of infrastructure is a serious concern, actually is a serious challenge throughout our country. We have decided as a portfolio committee that instead of us being the ones that wants the departments to account to us, let's rather have a round table and discuss with all the provinces and try to see how can we get to solve the challenge of infrastructure through the country.
Yeah.
So it is quite a very serious concern.
Yeah, yeah. You would know at some point, Ms. Gigaba, that the President, on the issue of eradication of pit latrines, that is one issue that he stood up and he said he wants an audit of all the schools that still have pit latrines to be counted so that these can be done away with speed. How far is that process?
No, look, there is progress, and actually, you would be surprised that with us interacting with provinces last week, we found out that Free State actually had got rid of all the pit latrines toilets, so they don't have pit latrines anymore, and there are provinces where it really it's rural, like your KZN, Eastern Cape, they do have challenges of pit latrines. And it is based on the same issue that I have raised, that there are serious issues with regards to infrastructure, and mainly that is also causing the department's audit really not to get to where it's supposed to get. In terms of the Auditor General, it affects it as well.
Yeah.
But they are working into it. And I must say up front that, departments, they also would use the other, like the Department of Public Works, for instance, to do their work in terms of infrastructure. So because of that, they can't really account, because they would expect invoices from the Department of Public Works, and they won't get it, and that affects the audit opinion. So generally, Xoli, what I'm trying to say to you and the viewers at home is that we've got a serious of infrastructure as a country, and it's something that we cannot run away from, but it's something that I think we can discuss and find ways to reduce the frustration that we have of infrastructure.
Yeah, it's a terrible situation, because in the Eastern Cape province, for example, that you mentioned, just imagining this period, the winter period that we're going into now, there are still some children who we understand still study under trees when it's hot, because inside the classroom they simply just it's not bearable. How bad is the situation there before I move on this issue of infrastructure? The schools where buildings are simply dilapidated.
Look, there is I agree with you. There are schools where you've got kids that are still outside, that are not in class because of the infrastructure. And there is a program that the department has introduced that just deals with that, and they call it ASIDI. And we were briefed by the department as well that the same program is, we are behind. They are behind. There is a backlog on it, but of course it's something that we could understand because the reason they put it to us is due to COVID, that we did not really expect, all of us as a country. So they've got that program just to deal and try to fast track the issues of infrastructure, try to get every child in the classroom. So they are busy dealing with it. It's just that, like I'm saying, there is a backlog on it, and a backlog that they estimated probably 2 years. They are running, and it's a program that really looked and dealt with issues of your deep rural provinces, which we know mostly is in the province of the Eastern Cape.
Yeah. So, but overall, as the oversight committee, you are satisfied with progress, or do you think it's simply too slow?
We think they can do better. We have raised that with them. We are not satisfied. We think they can do better. And we don't think, like we said, probably if we get them into one room, because look, there are provinces, for instance, like we had good stories in KZN, how they deal with issues of finances, of infrastructure, for instance, how they are getting clean audit. So that's why we try to get all of them in one room to discuss the matter, because it is just very easy sometimes to learn how other provinces are dealing with the issue. And because you are one sector, try to communicate the issue. You can't really wait for the portfolio committee to ask you to speak about the matter, then you start to speak about it.
Okay.
Provinces like Northwest, for instance, it's issues of leadership. They don't have people that can deal with infrastructure in the department.
Yeah.
So they must hunt those people. They must get those people. So it's issues that we think they can deal with, and at least they can reduce the strain.
All right. I want to talk about the issue of violence and bullying at school. This is something that I understand you have also been discussing in this roundtable discussions that you have been holding with the department and the stakeholders. I want to go straight to a report that appeared in the Mail and Guardian, I think this past week. It quoted teachers at schools saying the only time that psychologists are sent to school is when it is in response to a particular incident. I just want to start there. Is that acceptable to you?
Well, Xoli, thanks for the question. Look, that cannot be acceptable. And one of the questions that we have raised with the department is that, are they working with the sister departments in dealing with this issue of bullying? And we're going to respond that they do work with social development. But of course, then one cannot say that whether social development intervenes, like you are saying, when there is a crisis at school, or it's something that they get continuously. So probably it's something that one must try to ascertain from them, from the department. But the reality of the issue is that it is a serious matter. It is a concern as well, the issue of bullying. But it's, I think we came to a conclusion that it's a societal matter. It affects everybody, and it needs everybody to just find ways to deal with it. And when I say deal with it, I mean even the parents of the perpetrators as well.
Yeah. And it's interesting that you bring up that point about parent involvement. Firstly, what is the department telling you about teachers being adequately capacitated to deal with bullying and violence in schools? And linked to that is exactly what you've just touched on, which is parent involvement in their children's education and behavior at school.
Look, Xoli, I can't say the teachers, are able to deal with it. You remember, teachers are human beings as well. And I don't know if you are aware of the story that recently happened in the West, where actually a teacher moved from one school to the other to go and stab the other teacher. So which means they are confronted with the challenge amongst themselves as well without the kids. Now, the issue of parenting, and I think we need to understand it in both, because that was my point even in the committee, that you understand it from both parents, the one that has a child that has been bullied, but the one that has got a child that bullies the other ones as well, because our children have got anger. You must take time and try, if you've got these videos, to look at them and see how they bit non-stop. It's like they're taking anger out. It's like they've got issues that they can't deal with them, whether they are coming from home or whether they are coming from the society where we live in. It's something else. But the reality, it goes back that there needs to be community involvement. There needs to be parent involvement on the matter, because not only they fight outside the premises, but they bring the matters that probably they fought off outside premises to the schools as well, because that's where they meet.
All right, we're going to have to leave it there. Thank you very much for your time. That's Parliament's Portfolio Committee Chair on Basic Education, Bongiwe Mbinqo-Gigaba, talking to us about issues that affect the basic education sector, in particular infrastructure and violence and bullying in schools.